Advertising with me, Ryan Whyte. I'm a freelance graphic designer. I'm joined as always by Jacque Moodley, who is a permanent art director.
And has sparkling water provided to me by ARC.
There you
So
go.
if you want to sponsor, we drink sparkling water out here. Jokes.
And our very special guest today is Bandile Masina,
Yeah.
digital creator.
AKA bands make a dance.
Yeah.
Digital creator, no. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, welcome
Wait.
to the show and thanks for being here, bro.
No,
Yeah,
thank
appreciate
you
it.
guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Sorry we left you outside for like an hour.
It's alright.
I didn't realize my phone was trying to set up for recording. So
Yeah,
And
no,
Jacque
it's all
and I-
good.
Yeah, Jacque and I got in a contentious discussion about proactive.
real proactive discussion. It was actually pretty useful. I think I like the
It was
idea
good.
we came up
Yeah.
with. It was just because I work at a conflicting agency, you need to put me on the
Okay.
credits, but like in a sneaky way.
In a
Just be like
sneaky way.
creative consultant, Jacque Moodley.
And we'll pay you via petty cash.
Or
so,
PayPal.
So it's not a
Exactly.
so it's not
Tax
it's not
write-off.
on the books.
Send me a voucher for like Superbalist. It would be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. Okay, sweet. So yeah, welcome to the show,
Yeah.
Bleed Advertising, and we are going to be talking about Bandile Masina, the digital creator, bro. I just got that from your Instagram.
My Instagram, yeah, I actually need to change that. Yeah, but it's all good.
Philanthropist,
Yeah.
Playboy.
I don't know.
PSG
Look,
fan.
philanthropist, not so much, but yeah,
Okay.
I work in a space that does social marketing.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Can I
Yeah.
just cut this down for you a little bit?
Oh, sure, thank you.
Cool.
And yeah, suppose I'm a comm strategist for the
Okay.
agency that I work for, and I'm also a copywriter/writer for them. So
Okay.
I do a lot of writing.
Nice.
A man with different hats. One of them pink, I think.
It's red.
It's coral.
I don't know
coral.
what color this is, but yeah.
So obviously not a designer.
No, I'm not a designer, but yeah, I do give a little bit of creative direction
Okay,
in
that's
terms of
cool.
the designs that we put out for some of our clients. But yeah,
Cool.
So don't worry, you don't have to mention any of your clients, but if there is one particularly like, oh, this is a dope client, you can feel free.
yeah, okay.
There's no conflict of interest here.
Cool. Well, we'll get into what you do now, but I thought like let's take it back to when you were a kid. What were your creative outlets? How did you get involved in this kind of realm where like
Yeah.
thinking of ideas and strats and like what's the young version of yeah
Me.
yeah
Yeah, I used to draw a lot. I actually used to draw a lot of Dragon Ball Z characters,
Oh, cool.
and I used to sell those
Yeah.
in primary school. Yeah, so I draw.
It starts with a hustle.
entrepreneurial.
It's always like
Art
hustle.
equals money? What?
And I mean, people used to like Dragon Ball Z back when we were growing up,
Yeah.
and they enjoyed the drawings that I used to make. So I sold them for like R2,
Well,
R3, depending on the character.
I used to sell $5 tattoos because I used to bring my own art line
Yeah.
to school. I was like, cool. And I had a flip book of like different tattoo designs. It's easy because then
Yeah,
I learned how to
that's,
do logos and shit. I was like, okay, cool.
Exactly.
So everybody wanted like Roxy or like Quicksilver or Fox or something. I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Went to a
Yeah.
very white school.
And then there was
obviously.
a stint where they said those tattoos are drug laced and they're not good.
Oh no, but I just had an art line marker. So
Yeah.
basically, I just get shouted at by teachers. They're like, "Oh, you're drawing on it for everyone." I was like, "Yeah,
Mm.
making them bank."
Oh, that's like a good 4 fizz pops with that cash.
I was more of a. There used to be this ice cream sandwich. I can't remember the brand.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Ola, but it used to be like a soft cookie on the one side and then like a crunchy sort of chocolate covered section on the other side. Me and Minus or Lahasa, guys to make. He was my high school friend and we used to make music together. Every day after school, we used to go get those ice creams and we'd try hustle like $6 because that's how much it cost. So
Yeah.
we'd split it down the middle. So you'd have the cookie one or the chocolate one, and we'd swap days. So that's I only did art to make money for ice cream. That's kind of how it works. And now look at me making money for ice cream.
Yeah, there you go, bro.
Ice
There you go.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that was me. Yeah, I did art a lot, even in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took one of my subjects as was art. So
Okay.
yeah, I've always wanted to go into, suppose, the entertainment industry, basically, not just one segment of it, but I've always wanted to have like a holistic view of
Okay.
the entertainment, from advertising to music to all of that. Yeah, I used to also do freestyle raps
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
back
shit.
in high school, but yeah.
I got some beats. I can
Nah.
drop some bars.
At Gandhi Square or at Old Park?
No. I heard about the Gandhi Square ones, but I never attended.
Okay.
But yeah, it was just between me and my mates at school.
Okay.
So yeah, it used to be called Osmic B.
Oh, there you
Why
go.
does that sound familiar?
There was a guy who also was Osmic.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was
and
like,
he was
is it-
quite legendary apparently
Yeah.
within the cipher space. So,
Yeah, it rings a bell.
Yeah, you guys moved in the same circles,
I
right?
did, man. Like an Audi symbol. Hey, yo.
So yeah, that was.
So how come not graphic design? If you were good at drawing and you did arts and you sold Dragon Ball Z, why don't you go more
graphic
design?
design? I actually thought about it, but then because a lot of people were like, "Yeah, but you also got the voice for radio. Try radio. That's like more your thing." And so I studied towards radio, but I didn't finish.
What course was that? It was like,
I did it through Boston Media House.
yeah?
Yeah.
Was it like a radio course?
It was the general entry to media studies, and then with a major for radio.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
And you were just like, nah.
Yeah, but I only did 1 year, and then I dropped out.
Just didn't dig it or...
No. Couldn't afford to pay
Cash
for the
thing.
fees. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense.
So
And then what was next for you?
what was next was advertising, I suppose. But before that, I was a sales guy. I did a lot of sales. Yeah, a lot of telesales on the phone. I was
Oh,
also
with that kind of voice, you could have sold me a contract with MTN. Oh, this guy sounds legit. Here's my ID number and social. My ID number, CVV number.
I did quite a lot of sales, and that sort of kind of set me up to the next phase of my life, where I was a student advisor, and then I worked for the CTI Education Group,
Okay.
as well as the Midrand Graduate Institute, and then from there I did a program which was like a digital marketing thing for 3 months, and then once you complete that program, they place you at an agency. And then I got placed at Hello Computer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Sick.
and that's how I got into advertising.
That's where we met.
us.
That's
Yeah.
where I met you guys. Yeah,
Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how you feel.
fortunately.
And you were also in the sales for a bit, hey?
I used to slang that HTH. I'm not being euphemistic. That was really, I used to sell that
Yeah.
Whyte. That I used to clean people's pools. But yeah, I was like the number one salesman. Because then there was a stage where HTH used to sell candles. And for some reason, like these older ladies loved the boy. So I was just like, what are you doing tonight? Don't you want to like light a candle and just like have a like romantic evening bath? I mean, you can use it for your spa bath or you can use it in your regular bath. But I used to slang those candles. I made HTH so much fucking
Was
money.
this all over the phone?
No, I was in person. I used to work at like Builders, Builders Warehouse. Lots of brands we're mentioning today.
Yeah.
But I used to work at Builders Warehouse, and sometimes they put me at like I usually used to be at Crown Mines, and then they used to put me at what's the one there by the airport? But I lived in Alberton, so I had to like
Glenceria.
drive like this way or this way. It was mad far, and then Pick and Pay Steeldale and Pick and
Yes.
Pay the Glen.
I was at the
Yeah.
Steeldale and the
Oh,
Glen one, yeah.
Steeldale. Yeah, Steeldale. I met a guy called Gustav Darmans. He was like my competitor because he was selling pool chem and I was HTH. But we became friends. So shout out to Gustav. He's a designer as well. He was in Dubai. I think now he's based in Morocco or whatever, between Morocco and South Africa. But he's a really cool designer. Let's actually get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's got an
Yeah.
interesting story.
Cool.
Yeah, man. So I used to just sell pool chemicals. That was my sales job, and then they offered me telemarketing for HTH, and I was like, they offered me quite a bit of money, and I was like, damn, I should. In retrospect, I should have taken it. I was like, damn, that's a way more money. I think I worked for 10 years in advertising and didn't make as much money as I would have as like a sales agent.
Yeah, look, I
At
didn't make
HTH.
much money as a telesales agent, but the commissions,
Well, at least.
that's where you made the money from. Yeah.
I see.
I remember I did promotions.
Yeah.
So you know, like those promotions, the same ones that we come up with for our products,
Yeah.
I had to do as a student. And I remember the one time, because I'm quite a polite guy, so we had to do a promotion for Dye Range, which is a insect repellent / cockroach killer
Yeah.
kind of thing. And we had to go and get our uniforms at the warehouse. And I'm a polite guy, so I was like, you guys go ahead, you get stuff first. They ran out of uniforms. They only had like extra small. I'm quite a tall guy. And the outfit was it was like one of those exterminator suits. It's a full yellow jumpsuit, and those things are supposed to be quite baggy. So it came up to like the edge of my arm and my legs.
Like Jesse Pinkman, or Walter White wearing Jesse Pinkman's outfit.
Yes, exactly. And like like you mentioned, Pick and Pay, Steeldale, and the Glen, you're gonna bump into like teachers and friends.
Yeah, girls you like from
yeah.
Vista.
Yeah, but that wasn't the most embarrassing costume I ever wore. I wore I don't know if you remember, this is also for insect repellent, Doom. They had a campaign where there was a gunslinging cowboy shooting insects, right? So that was the whole TV campaign. So the promotion version of that was like cowboys, but I had to wear this tight
chapless.
Yes. Very, very tight. And the last hat they had wasn't like the nice big 10-gallon cowboy hat. It was the ones that curled up on the sides.
The lower ranking cowboys. Intern cowboys.
Tight red shirt, and there was holsters for the cans.
The calf boy.
Now imagine like bumping into someone you like from high school.
And your butt cheeks out like Prince at the Grammys.
Anyways, but we digress, right? So the interesting thing is you had like a clear path from when you were, drawing Dragon Ball Z things. You were like, this is what I want to get into.
I don't think it was
it a clear progression?
I think it was more like I sort of knew where I wanted to go, but I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
Also coming from a background where you're not really, I suppose, supported.
Yes.
Right? You don't have the family structure support that you would want, or somebody to kind of guide you or nudge you in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's like you figure everything out yourself. And it's like, it looked murky at one point. And I think we're having this conversation where I was telling you that I always wanted to do something in advertising, and I had this ad idea, which I actually stupidly sent via email to one of the agencies, and I think I truly believe that they stole that ad.
Oh, what?
Because there's a version of an ad that they did similar to the exact same concept that I gave them. And my idea around sending them that concept was, I even specified in the email that I sent, I was like, look, if you guys like the ad, I'd appreciate like an internship.
Yeah.
There you go. So I guess you didn't get the internship.
Exactly. Where I was like, I'm willing to learn, you know what I mean? And I really want to go into
it's cool that you jacked my concept, but how about 4K a month? Let's start there.
Now, how often do you think that happens while we are on the topic? So like, you know how these things work. They'll have like agencies will often say, okay, cool, split up into groups. Guys come up with ideas and stuff. So it's a group of 6 people. Who gets the credit? All 6 people? It's usually only like 1 or 2 people. The person who says the line that solves the concept usually gets credited. Yeah. That's how I find it. But like, it still took someone dropping an insight. It still took someone saying, okay, let's recontextualize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just because the one person came up with the line that encapsulates everything, how do you get credit?
I guess it's like a child, man. Like, they say it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to like birth a concept, I guess. But whoever's like the last guy to say that line, it's usually the copywriters. You guys always take all the glory. Do you know my whole life, bro? We had this copywriter like conundrum, right? So it's like, I'll come up with the concept, like, and I'll have like a teammate, whatever, a copywriter teammate. I'll come up with the concept, I'll be like, oh, we should say this. And then the copywriter is always the one to present it. They're always like, oh, damn, you're so conceptual. You're the man. And you're just like, that was my idea.
That was your idea.
Dude, I had a fight with my copywriter partner. I won't say names. So he knows who he is. Yeah. And he's like, oh, no, dude. Like the one day, like he was like pissed off. I was at Saatchi at the time. And he's pissed off. And I come in. I'm like, yo, dog, what's going on? Everything's okay? Nah, man, I'm just tired of picking up all the weight in this team, blah, blah. I was like, okay. Then I went back and looked at like everything I've written in my book, because that's the thing, notebooks, moleskins, bro. When the moleskins come out, went to the moleskins, like, oh, that idea represented my idea, that idea represented my idea. And then just sometimes it happens where you're working in a team and you like work conceptually with someone so long that you start to think that all your ideas are just on your own. I magically am the source of all this magic. You're like, it takes a team. You have to bounce things off people. And you have to like, maybe that idea is like locked in the back of your brain, but it takes someone to say something to like bring it out. No, but anyways, whoever's the glory hog or whatever it is, that's the person who gets the credit.
I'm just picturing like a brainstorming table and everyone needing to go to the toilet, but they don't want to go because someo's
as soon as you leave,
as soon as you leave, as you get back, isn't it cool that I came up with that idea though?
It's crazy.
So what happened to me recently, we had so there's this website that just
Yeah.
basically shifts out random briefs. So as a client, you can go on this platform, put a brief out there, and then whoever's on the other side can answer it, put a proposal forward.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing was like we did it was for Tourism Tasmania, and you know what it's like with pitch briefs. Sometimes you want to show a little bit of extra. You don't want to just solve the basic things. You want to show, okay, cool, we can take it in this space, and you kind of want to take that initiative to show that the concept that you're presenting has
got more
legs.
yeah.
So we answered this brief. We went a little bit over and above. We submitted this thing. They messaged us back. They said, thanks, really good proposal, but it's kind of off brief. It's not what we wanted, but we really appreciate it. We'll keep you on record. Everything that was in that proposal deck, they rolled out.
Sure.
Okay.
And it's subtle things like, so what we recommended to them, we were like, instead of posting places, because you're about tourism, do one that's food, one that's place, one that's wildlife, and do it in this particular order that it's not. And then we went through their feed and we were like, it was the exact pattern, but only we would be able. And how do you prove that? How do you prove that to people, like that technique?
It's IP. So even when like agencies pitch and they pitch on an account, they sign contracts, because as soon as like that account, and it's happened so many times in the industry that I think that became a thing, but people would like present a pitch idea to a client, and the client would go, cool, you guys didn't win the pitch, but they'd give those ideas to another agency to roll out. And that's happened. I've been on the other side of that, where I've had to roll out another agency's concept. I'm like, this is messed up. But I think now they've gotten a little bit better with like contracts and stuff, and there's pitch fees and that sort of thing. But yeah, dude, on a platform like that, you're gonna bound to get people who can jack ideas.
You know, it just reminds me of that line from 300 where Leonidas is leaving, right?
Yeah.
And then that guy from the Senate is like, what are we gonna do? And then the other oak says, what can we do? And then Leonidas turns around and says,
what can you do? Sparta will need sons.
agency will always need ideas.
Yeah. And then
Regardless of whether there's something we can do about it or not.
Yeah.
You know, they'll always need our ideas, even though they steal them.
Yeah.
It's like, it's disheartening because you want to be a part of that and grow the industry, but if people are not going to have that integrity, right, to...
Integrity is a strong one, eh? Yeah.
Like,
don't find a lot of it in this.
No, there isn't. Yeah. There really isn't. And that's sort of, I think that's one of the gripes I've had with the ad industry, really, is because the integrity is not there. Yeah. And you would hope that people who do this sort of thing actually have a lot of integrity, but
we've had brainstorms in agencies where like we'll just be kicking around an idea and like, oh, this is funny, this whatever. And then like the month or two later, that someone was sitting behind you has moved to another agency and you see that idea executed. That's happened like more times than I can remember. But yeah, that happened once. There was like some campaign that like came out like a month after the guy had left. And it was like exactly what we discussed at the agency. And like, that's shitty.
We also
but then you're like, these guys aren't your mates. These guys are all competing with you.
So do you think we all need to sign NDAs though and brainstorms?
Yeah, man, it's ridiculous. They would really like slow down the process.
Big time. Yeah, because then people will be hesitant. Look, I mean, I think the thing is, I think it's not exclusive to our industry. I'm sure in other industries they've got patents where they say if you work here, we're going to expose you to techniques and ways of working and also like, I don't know, algorithms that are going to, and spreadsheet models, whatever. Like, I don't even know what I'm talking about. But if that guy goes to another firm, is he going to be like, oh, my integrity is kicking in. I can't use any of those.
All that stuff.
I've got the spreadsheet that's going to,
Look, I mean, I think there's a line, right? You know, if you've learned something from wherever you come from, then you can apply it in the future. But with ideas, it's like, if we discuss ideas, right? And I know that it's your idea, Jacque, and then I go take that idea and go use it somewhere else. That's just
That's very
downright
different.
But people
dirty.
do that. Like it's
I know people do that. But
you
that's,
wouldn't do that.
That's dirty. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I personally wouldn't do that because I know what it's like to be on the other end of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I mean, coming up with ideas is not easy. You know,
Yeah.
like you sit, you go through the process in your mind, you think about the steps, and you think about everything else. And sometimes you doubt yourself and think that, is this idea really good?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you find that.
Also, if you find something that works, right? So if like you come up with a campaign, and
Yeah.
like, you know, if you're at an agency and you come up with a campaign and it like really works, and you see the like engagement on social, you're like, this is cool, and you figure out how to do that. You're gonna try replicate it somewhere else, but like obviously switch things out or
You
whatever.
switch it up.
Because there's so many like there's only so many ideas, right? Like sometimes you just have to remix shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like if this thing worked well, then why not go there and it works well? Maybe it's a different. Maybe you did it for a car brand, and now you're working on a food brand. But it's a similar mechanic where you're like you're trying to get engagement on social. I think in that case, if you're the individual who came up with that original idea and you go to another agency and like remix it so much so that it isn't recognizable, I think that's cool. And I think people do that because if you're good at one thing, like you, let's say you do a music thing and you're like, okay, well this worked really well. You go to another agency and you present a music thing, but it's like different enough. Then I think it's cool because then you play to your strengths. But I think like straight taking like a concept that everyone's got the bottom drawer, right? We like to call it the bottom drawer of ideas.
Yeah.
And there's always ideas that you run past the client and you're like, this is dope, whatever. And the client's like, nah, fuck that. Oh, that's off. It's out of budget or it's off brand strategy, whatever. We've all taken that idea and gone to another client. And go, hey man, this could work for you. And the client's like, that is dope. And they run it. And you're like,
Finally.
to be honest with you, the client probably won't even remember that you presented that idea. They see it a presentation a day. So like that one time you presented that TV script and they didn't buy it, take it to Pepsi. You know what I mean? Like if that's the case, it's
but
gonna
that's
work.
different if it's in that case, right?
Yeah, don't take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Yeah,
No
well-
idea's original, right?
Or do you think all is fair in love and war? Like, for instance, I mean, is there a coincidence that Aston Martin DB7 looks a little bit like a Jag? Was it not the same designer? I'm sure there's a case of like car brands. So I know with Kia, they hired the designer from Audi, and all of a sudden Kia started looking
Great.
like yeah,
Yeah.
and you could see a little bit of Audi influence, and
Why not?
fine, right?
I think that's fine. Ford stole Aston Martin's designs.
That's the one, yeah.
So Fords, if you looked at like the Fiesta that came out
Yeah.
like 2014 or 2012, whatever, it had that Aston Martin mouth.
Yes, it
And
did.
even when I saw it, I was like, yo, this is crazy. But I don't know if they hired the designer for Aston Martin. It was just like, fuck it. We like our Aston Martins look.
This
We're
is
going
what
to take
doing
it.
with- Yeah.
I mean, yeah, with car design and stuff. But I think like, and I always like to use, and Kia's a great case study because you always go, you know, as a person who's always interested in cars growing up and like being in design and wanting to draw cars or design cars, because that was the path I wanted to go down.
Yeah.
But I didn't do technical drawing. Fool. Anyways, I always thought that, yeah, man, like, why can't you make a cheap car look nice? Like, it doesn't hurt. Like, obviously, I don't think like good aesthetics should only be exclusive to like Mercedes C classes and BMW 3 Series or whatever. Like, why do you have to get to that range? Why can't they make a Toyota look aggressive and cool? Or a Kia. And then when Kia started doing that stuff, all the cheaper cars started looking better. Because Kia was like, oh, fuck it, you can get a 120k car, but it looks sick. And it's got like nice design stuff and it feels sturdy and like inside it feels like a German car. Even when, so I got a Rio a couple of years ago. It was my mom's car eventually when we started looking for cars. And like we couldn't afford a Golf. Obviously I would have loved a Golf 5 or 6 or whatever at the time. Just couldn't afford it because VWs was super overpriced. So we went to Kia. We're like, let's just go have a look. And I sat in the Rio and I drove it around. I was like, this feels like a Polo at least.
It does.
And I was like, fuck it, we're buying that. It looked cool. It had big 17-inch rims, which is a big thing for me. I'm Indian. And it felt like a German car.
Yeah.
And then ever since then, Kia's been killing it. Dude, the new Sportage is one of the best looking SUVs
It is actually.
I've seen on the market. And I was like, it could have any other badge on it. It could have BMW or Audi or VW. I was like, that is a fucking good looking car. And it just happens to be 200-300k cheaper than like the next competitor. So yeah, if you're gonna steal well and make it look good and make it.
Suppose, that's the way.
Yeah, man.
Steal well.
I think Pablo Picasso once said that. And I'm sure you'd much rather...
Pablo Picasso also said, "Who look at that 6-year-old?"
That's definitely being edited on.
No, we didn't. Pablo was a pedophile.
I'm sure you'd much rather cry in a Porsche than a Kia, though, huh?
I don't know. Depends how that Porsche is designed. Kia might be a better looking. I might retract my statement. Anyways,
Okay, so now you kind of you knew you wanted to get in, and you studied where? You said Boston. Yeah, and then eventually you managed to get an internship.
No, I didn't get an internship.
Was it not? You studied somewhere else.
Then you went into sales.
I went to, so it was Boston,
Yeah.
and I was studying during my studies.
Yeah.
I was working during my
Oh,
studies.
okay,
actually.
got you.
Yeah. So I was working 2 jobs actually to pay for my own education at Boston. So I studied part time in
Yeah.
Boston. So they had like evening
Oh,
classes.
got you.
Yeah. I was also a doorman at the butcher shop and grill.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'd finish my shift. So I'd work Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
But then my shift at the butcher shop started on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So from 6 o'clock Friday, after I finished my work shift, I'd go to Santino, you see, at the butcher shop and grill, and then start my shift from 6 to 10.
Shit, man.
And that was like 6 to 10. And weekends, 6 to 10 as well. So that's how I managed to sort of pay
your way
So
through.
that's a crazy
education,
work
yeah.
ethic.
That's
man.
hustle, dude.
Yeah, but then I lost my job at CTI because of one of the managers.
Okay.
And that brought in the bulk of the income.
Cash, yeah.
So I couldn't afford to supplement
Fuck,
my
man.
education. So that's why I dropped out.
Okay.
So yeah, that was trash.
Sorry,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was alright. I think there was a lesson in it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
I don't know what it was, but
Don't piss off one of the managers.
yeah. But yeah, and then from there I did. It was a program that was offered through a Google partnership.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
that's what I did. I did that for 3 months,
Yeah.
and then I graduated from that, and they placed me.
Okay, cool.
And that's when you got to Hello Computer.
Yeah, that's how I got into Hello Computer.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. And then, yeah, dude. So we all worked at Hello Computer.
Yeah, we
together.
did.
It's a great company, man.
Yeah,
I like
really
it.
good company. And from there, how did your path kind of change? Because what you're working in now is very different to that ad agency vibe.
yeah.
So that brings you to this point now where you are a strategist and a content writer or
Yeah.
copywriter. Tell us a bit more about that.
So yeah, I think I did like a year and some bit
Mm-hmm.
at Hello Computer, and then there was obviously a whole restructuring thing
Mm-hmm.
happening, and yeah, there was also some issues with the brand that we were working on at the time. So with the people that we were working on,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't really, I don't know.
There's always going to be a little bit of
Yeah,
unrest when
there's quite a lot of unrest.
companies merge,
Yeah.
and if you lose accounts, there's always going to be
Yeah.
a little bit of
So
uneasiness.
I think also I was brought into somebody else's disciplinary hearing.
Okay.
And then I was asked whether I wanted that person's position or not.
Oh
Crazy.
wow.
And then I was like, nah, I'm not going to throw this person under
Of
the
course
bus.
not.
So
That's
I
crazy.
think based off of that, that sort of then led me to
Yeah.
be treated a certain way
Sure. Gotcha.
within
Oh, that would.
where I was working.
Oh,
So
that would leave
I
a bad
decided-
taste in my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just leave. You know what I mean?
Clean slate. Yeah.
Clean slate. So I handed in my resignation, and I asked for a recommendation letter, which I was
I've never
promised to
gotten,
get,
yeah.
but
There we go.
I never got.
Wow.
So I was like, it's
Why
good.
don't companies do that, dude? Because I remember even I left. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into like my first job, right? Like I fucking and really like I cried at that job. I
Yeah.
like worked late nights, like every night, like 2-3 in the morning. I'd leave, come back at 7, shit like that. And they paid me next to nothing. And all I ever asked was my CD, who was like, you know, at some point, like as a young creative, you find these like, I wouldn't say father figures, but these mentors where you
No,
like, this guy, I look
absolutely,
up to this guy. This guy's like a god to me. He's like great at like, he did like all this crazy winning campaigns. And all I wanted was this guy's approval. And that kind of came in the form of like a recommendation letter. Like if
Yeah.
you recommend me and you think I'm good enough, just write me a letter so I can go to like my next agency, or just keep that with me, because
Exactly.
that means like if this guy has a name in the industry and he recommends you and he says good things about you, that can
Then-
take you far. Never got one. I think twice I asked for that.
Yeah.
Never got from like guys I like fucking. You know when you like give your all to like a job and like you, because you fuck with this guy, you're gonna
Dude,
work
I
hard
used to-
late
I
nights.
used to graft for that brand. Like
Yeah.
I grafted
Mhm.
for that brand, like, and sure there were issues, but
Sure.
I worked for that brand. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
man. You can hear about your work ethic from the 3 jobs you had.
And I was like,
This
and I
guy
was like,
grinds.
I was like, the thing is, I didn't even ask for the recommendation letter. He suggested the recommendation letter. He's like, you know what, I'll write you a recommendation.
And then
And I was like, okay, cool, I'll take it. You know?
Yeah.
And then I asked about it, and they're like, okay, no, we'll get it to you. Nothing ever happened, bro.
that's
I
crazy.
was like, it's fine. You know.
Bygones are bygones. Because
Yeah.
now,
And yeah, so I was unemployed for some time though.
oh, dude, that's
Yeah.
rough.
I was unemployed for some time. I think about like 2.5 years.
2.5
So you
years,
left the
dude.
company. You didn't have something else. You just
Yeah, I
started
didn't have
fucking them
something
out.
else. So I was just doing
Spread,
like
dude.
odd little jobs on the side.
Oh, snap,
Yeah.
dude. I didn't even know that.
No, it was a rough period.
Yo.
But yeah, and then I then linked up with someone who works at this agency, and they were like, "Yo, we're looking for someone here, so I
dope.
think you might be a good fit."
Nice.
And I went for the interview, only to find out that they really want me to come work for the agency.
Snap.
And it's been
You can mention agency if you want. If you want to give them a shout out or not, it's really cool.
it's Kwambele. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's them. That's
Awesome.
who I work for now.
And you guys are doing some interesting stuff. But
Yeah.
before we get there, so your advertising career was actually quite short-lived. Was like
it was
a year
very
and a half?
short-lived. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very short-lived.
After the 2.5 years that you were unemployed, I think that's when you found me walking down the street.
Yes, I saw you.
I was
Yeah.
without a car.
And I was
then,
driving
yeah,
past, and I was like, "Wait, that's Ryan."
This guy actually did a U-turn.
I
He was
did a
like, "Dude, you
U-turn.
need a ride anyway."
I hadn't seen you for a long
Yeah,
time, bro. So I was like,
Okay, cool. So when I met you then,
Yeah.
like things were on the up already.
"Yeah, they
okay.
were, they were."
I remember you saying. Okay, so tell us about this agency you're working at and your role. You're doing like
Yeah.
quite cool stuff.
Yeah, I think it's quite cool stuff. It's not as cool as the stuff that we do in advertising, but it's
I think it's
I
a bit
don't
cooler,
think- I think it's
personally.
cool,
cooler, though. Like, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool, you know. And I think the reason why I like the work that I do is because there's actual impact, you know. So we
What do you
we
mean
work
by
on
that?
campaigns
Yeah.
that
Social
change. So
impact.
it's like social impact. So we work on campaigns that try to change social behavior
That's nice.
with a lot of the audiences that we interact with, and it's a lot of below the line stuff like activations
Okay.
and social experiments that we do, but it's really fun and cool.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more rewarding than I think.
Mm.
Most of work is like, they get a little bit of increase in market share, or they sell this many products, and then they meet their targets. But actually, like affecting people's lives and bringing
Yeah.
change in community, I think that's great, man. That's way better than moving product. I
No,
think.
absolutely, it is, and it's quite different from moving product because I mean you get to learn about, like for me it was very insightful to learn about the different, suppose, communities that we work in, right?
Yeah.
And you see how people interact with the content and the messaging because it's quite different, and it's like most of the jargon is very technical, and then you have to sort of present it in a way that the audience that you're speaking to within that community
Yeah.
is able to receive it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's quite challenging because
course.
you have to test different types of messaging to find the right fit.
Yeah.
And you're not just speaking to one sort of segment of
Yeah.
that community, you're speaking to different
Yeah.
segments. So you'd be targeting, let's say, community leaders who have a different perception about how things should operate.
Yeah.
And then you target the kids, and then you've got the parents as well. And then you've got the, let's say, the religious groups.
Yeah.
And you've also got different other groups that don't subscribe to maybe religion. So how do
Yeah.
you speak to all of those people so that they all understand
Sheesh.
this one messaging is actually to better the community's livelihood?
That is quite tough, and it's different from advertising because we just put out like a campaign message and hope that it like people get
Lands.
it. Yeah, it's like cool. Well, that's I hate when they do this, but they let us throw in a vernac word. Like it's a
Yeah.
cool word to make it seem like to appeal to this target audience, and like you just put it out there. And like let's say I hope it catches. Whereas you guys seem to like tailor your messaging to each little target group within that community.
And you need to then test all of that messaging to
See if it
see if it
actually
lands
lands.
with each target
How's your
audience.
ROI? How do you measure like
So
how effective
the
it is?
measurement is always based off of, because most of the campaigns that we work off are always centered around health. So
Okay.
if there's like an increase in teenage pregnancies in a specific area, and the way we then measure the return on investment is a decrease in teenage pregnancies and
Crazy.
people actually using the facilities that are provided to them by the health organizations. So people are actually taking condoms, people are getting tested, or there's a decrease in abortions. So that's how you
Crazy.
then would
Yeah.
measure your ROI.
Okay. Or increase in safe abortions.
And safe abortions
Yeah.
as well, should they
Yeah.
go down that route.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Interesting, dude.
Yeah, that's
So
how,
I guess that's where the religion thing comes in. That's why you like
Yes.
tell your messaging.
yeah.
Shit, man. That's
Sure.
But
that's
it's
complex.
never just like you can't do it over 3 months.
Yeah, sure.
The projects that we do are always like over a 1 year period or 2 year period because
Yeah.
there's already a baseline study that's
Sure.
been done by our clients, and then we take that and then move it to the next level.
Nice.
That's cool, man. You really are quite literally changing lives. That's
Yeah, it's
really nice.
it's quite challenging, but it's also rewarding. You know, I like it.
And one aspect of what you do also involves like audio lessons as well. I remember you telling me.
Yes. So there's a campaign that we recently worked on with one of the agencies. It was centered around 3 districts.
Yeah.
So there's like a huge spike in, so what they call it is CAPS. So it's knowledge, attitudes, and perceptions. So there's a difference in the audience understanding
Yeah.
to certain sexual reproductive health rights.
Sure.
So they don't necessarily understand that they've got the right to go to a clinic and demand certain services
Yeah.
for themselves.
Okay.
And because there's always a stigma attached to going to the clinic,
Sure.
they get treated badly by the
Yeah.
nurses, they get judged.
Mm.
So that sort of makes people very reluctant to go and use services at a clinic
Yeah.
because it's like, if I go there,
They're
this
gonna-
nurse is going to judge
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Which is a
And-
crazy thing. Sorry, I don't think
Go
I
ahead.
We worked on a campaign. I can say it. It's MENA, Men for Health, and basically all our messaging was like, be proud of yourself. Don't be like ashamed to go get treatment, because that's the thing. People get like a HIV. So this is maybe, yeah, people get an HIV, a positive HIV status or whatever, and then it's not that they don't want to protect themselves and
Yeah.
their loved ones, or they don't want to like prolong their life, but they literally just don't want to have the stigma attached to them. And
Yeah.
when they go to the clinics, not only are they already like conscious of it and like they feel shit because they got this thing, and it's like a death sentence, if you
Yeah.
don't take your medication. But now also when they get to the clinic, they get treated like lepers, or like the people treat them badly, and it's like it's their fault they got HIV. Like, look, man, things happen. Like, people, you don't know who's infected. You don't
Sure.
you
And
find
that-
someone.
those are the perceptions that we try to change, right?
Yeah.
And the messaging that we create to say that these people are also human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That it's not just them that we speak
Sure.
to, but we speak to the nurses, we speak to the staff that's around
Yeah.
that clinic service,
Educate them about sensitivities and
exactly.
tact and.
and all of that.
So how do people actually access these audio lessons?
So we did this for a client,
Okay.
and once the campaign's done, the client would then upload it to their website.
Portals. Brilliant.
Yeah, so they've
Brilliant.
got their own portals where, because
Amazing.
the work belongs to the client. We
Okay.
don't
That's nice,
really-
Gotcha.
yeah.
It's not like free to the public or on
Well, it is free to
Spotify
the
or
public when the client makes
via
it. Yeah.
Available.
Okay, so it's not like on
Yeah.
On Spotify or
If they
okay,
choose to. Yeah.
Maybe
That
at a
would be
later
quite
stage,
nice,
you never
though.
know.
Yeah, that's
No, absolutely. I mean, there's quite a lot of these educational stuff that is out there
yeah.
from different organizations.
Sure.
So a lot of non-profit organizations do this sort of work, but
Okay.
our agency is not an NGO.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we're
sure.
for-profit organization,
For sure,
but we
yeah.
work with non-profit agencies.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
nice
that's
to
cool, man.
have someone on the show that's like not in the thick
Just
of
selling products,
proactive.
yeah, winning these things or whatever.
Yeah,
But
like
thank you for having me.
yeah, dude.
yeah.
Thanks
No,
so
thank
much
you.
for coming on the show. I think
Anything
we're
you
gonna
want to
wrap
like
up, yeah.
promote or talk about, well, aside from like your company, but like
I don't have
any
anything to
personal
put-
things you're trying to
I got a lot of personal things that I am working on, but
I saw on your Instagram there's like office furniture or something like that.
Oh yes, that's Sheesh Products.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Tell us about Sheesh Products.
So Sheesh Products it's not taking off the way I'd like it to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sell office equipment. Okay. So it's not really, we don't want to base it off of just office equipment. We're trying to extend the product range. Okay. But for now we've got quite a lot of chairs that we sell.
And Sheesh spelled S-H-E-E.
Sheesh. Yeah, so it's
is it a website?
It's S-H-E-E-S-H. Sheesh.
Is that just an Instagram page or is there a website?
There is an Instagram page, but it's only got 7 followers.
That's fine. Well, you'll get at least 3 more.
Yeah.
Once this episode drops, bro.
There's a website.
What's the website?
It's Sheesh Products. www.sheeshproducts.co.za.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put the link and stuff.
Nice. Well, yeah, dude. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having
me. You're welcome
back
anytime. You know where I live.
No, absolutely.
Got space for the golf, so you know.
No shot. Thank you.
Golf brothers, we have to keep each other going, man.
No, thanks. I appreciate it, Jacque.
We got Jacque Moodley, permanent art director at Falcone Beats on Instagram.
Falcone Beats.
And TikTok and everywhere. Listen to my beats. Give me some streams.
Beats are really dope. Your beats are quite sick.
From your mouth to TikTok's algorithms.
Bandile Masina, digital creator. Find you at where on Instagram?
It's actually at the hand.
Yes, underscore,
yeah.
And there's a 3 instead of an E.
Yes.
It's complicated. we'll put a thing there.
Yeah. And then you can find me on Instagram as well at Yamkayan. And yeah, I don't know what you'll find there. Actually, I'm not very active on Instagram.
I don't know what the yum part is.
But that's for later.
I haven't seen your Cayenne. I don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, you can find Bleed Advertising at bleed_advertising.
That's it.
On Instagram, and our website is
bleedadvertising.com, which is a very simple website.
It's quite simple.
Just much like Sheesh Products. Sheesh.
Yeah. I think we've set a record for mentioning the most brands on this.
Yeah, today was the brands day. We're just trying to trick the algorithms, bro.
Brands with bands.
Netflix, Google.
Yeah. Nike, Adidas.
Not gonna get this. Sponsor New Balance. Cool, man. That's it. Yeah, thanks for coming through.
Nah, thank you very much.
But anytime, we'll chat to you again when other things develop, and then.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's it. Oh, what song are we ending on?
Where the money?
What song are we ending off?
Let's do something from Balaclavas and Lingerie, which is a new album I produced with Inspector Gadget. So Babylon Parmesan.
There we go. This is Babylon Parmigiano.
Yo. Replica Basquiat, same lines, but we built different. Babylon Parmesan, that's what we call it. When it's cut with litmus, prison bars gave mad niggas a pleasant Christmas. Edward Scissors, finger licking, cutthroat fingers. Mug shots were the last time we took family pictures. Guns and pens, my blood brothers, bitches, that's the difference. I only get religious when I pray. They were no eyewitness in the Hiltons with the triple Paris French kisses. Gas stoves and baking.